Hello, Sioux Falls, and welcome to Planning Preview for the month of December. My name is Jason Bieber with the Planning Office at the City of Sioux Falls, and joining me today is Karla from our office, our urban planner extraordinaire. Thanks for coming on the show, Karla.
You bet, I'm excited.
So you're going to kind of run through, since you're kind of the Planning Commission report writer and case manager, you're going to kind of talk about some of these cases we have this month. Not another huge month, but usually that's what happens in the wintertime.
Right. It's got 4 items to go over here.
Great. So let's get into it. So this first one looks like it's a rezoning. It looks like it's some twin home property to commercial. I think this is up kind of west of that big climbing wall on Arrowhead Parkway, just north of Arrowhead Parkway and east of Sycamore Avenue. What are they actually looking to do with that commercial zoning?
You got it. So this applicant is actually requesting an expansion of the already built storage units. It'll just go more north towards that street, Grant Street.
Grant Avenue, and yes. I think I've kind of looked at the site plan a little bit, but there won't be any access to Grant, so all that commercial traffic will still go south over to Arrowhead, which is great. It'll kind of stay out of that existing residential neighborhood, so that'll be a good buffer for that.
Yep.
Third one here, or second one, excuse me, we've got is an on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment within 500 feet of sensitive land use. Looks like 4700 South Sycamore Avenue. I think this is like just north of 57th, east of Sycamore, just kind of west of the Barrel House, if people know where that is, right?
Right, you got it. The applicant here wants to move into 2 tenant spaces, and because the 2 tenant spaces are closer than 500 feet to the residential apartments to the north and the houses to the east there, then they need what's called a conditional use permit because they will be serving on-sale alcohol. And the 2 units would be a casino, and there's no access directly. It'll be shared with the business to the east.
Yep, because we wouldn't give them access to Sycamore Avenue, so that's good.
Right.
Next one here, we've got a conditional use permit. We don't see this that much, is off-site accessory parking within 200 feet of the DD and AD forms. I think this is just east of Cliff and just south of kind of River Boulevard. It goes over there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is where the furniture mission's going in?
Yep, the applicant is the somebody on behalf of the furniture mission, and this is their new location for an expansion, and they are adding more of a building and more use of it. So then they bought the property to the south, which used to be a single family house. Plan is to demolish that and then do some parking there with landscaping and then some angled parking to help assist some of that parking load.
Yeah, and I think the building there kind of takes up the entire property, so there's nowhere for them to put any parking on site. It's an old industrial building that did need a lot of parking, so I think this will help. And then that diagonal parking on the street will also help, so then cars aren't parking in front of the neighbors on the west side of the street. So
yep, so the applicant has had some neighborhood meetings just to be sure that we're all on the same page because they are residentially zoned properties around.
Great. And then last one we've got here is looks like it's initial development plan amendment for Founders Crossing, 57th Street and east of Veterans Parkway. This is kind of the Good Sam property, right?
Yep, the Good Sam at Founders Crossing is what they call themselves, and it's kind of a cleanup, and they are addressing the height requirements, building areas, and the signage plan with these text amendments.
So that's going to be where they're going to have the Sanford Clinic and Lewis, the frontage on 57th, and then kind of all of Good Sam's, Good Samaritan Society kind of housing for their people, correct?
Yep. It's the whole campus that's being addressed with this amendment.
That'll be a nice addition out there right on Veterans Parkway and 57th Street to get some kind of new housing for Good Sam.
It will be.
So, yeah. Well, great. That's what we got for this month. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, absolutely.
And stay tuned, Sioux Falls. After the break, we're going to have Neil King, our newly appointed chief building official, talk a little bit about his role with the city and some building permit data. So stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Brent, and I'm a housing specialist for the City of Sioux Falls, and I'm out here with Kelly, property maintenance manager for the city. We're out here on this snowy day, and we're here to talk about sidewalks. So Kelly, why do we need to clean the sidewalks?
Well, many people use the sidewalks for transportation, kids getting to school. You know, some people, elderly, disabled, or for whatever reason, they go to grocery stores or to work, they need a safe place to travel as well.
So we use about 2 feet of space. Do we only need to scoop a path, or do we have to go side to side?
Go the entire width of the sidewalk, edge to edge, and that way it's, ADA accessible for those in wheelchairs.
Okay. Today, I don't know if we're going to get 2 inches of snow, but do we have to wait till 2 inches, or do you have to start scooping right away?
No, you have to clear your sidewalk after any snow or ice event, and that's, within 48 hours after that event, we need that cleared off.
Well, thanks, Kelly. Well, if you're out scooping your snow and you see that your neighbor's house needs sidewalks scooped as well, do the neighborly thing and help your neighbor out.
If you'd like to see if one of our city programs can help you out, call 367-8180 or check us out online at siouxfalls.org.
Welcome back to Planning Preview for the month of December. Joining me now is Neil King, our newly appointed Chief Building Official. So thanks for coming on the show, Neil.
Well, thanks for inviting me. So.
Yeah, I like I said, I think last month we had Butch on the show, and then obviously he retired, and then you were fortunate enough to be able to fill in his position, which is great with all of your building expertise that you've had in the past. So just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you ever get to the city, and what kind of jobs have you had with the city?
Well, I've basically been in construction since 19, 20 years old, and just your body breaks down, and at a time you kind of look for jobs that'll help that. So, and I had my own business for a while, and I knew Bob Sirk. He was the building inspector that I replaced, and when he told me he was retiring, he's like, "You should probably think about doing it. It's a nice job." So, that was 2015. Started as a building inspector. 17 is when I jumped to the building inspection manager, and then. Yeah, here in October, took over for Butch as the official. So,
and that's what's kind of great, I think, that you've kind of done, the regular position of building inspector, and then you were the building inspection manager, so you got some of that management experience over a smaller group, but you got to be able to get that. And then now with Butch retiring, you're able to kind of have that seamless transition right up into his position.
Yeah, it was pretty smooth. So.
Yeah, and so one of the things that you're in charge of is you kind of handle all building permits and all that stuff for the entire city. Is it a little bit different? I mean, you've only been in the position, I guess, for 2 months maybe, not even?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
so, yeah.
Is it a little different? And I knew you were in the office a little bit just because you were manager. Is it a little different being more office-based work than being out in the field and that stuff?
My biggest surprise is how fast the day goes. That was kind of my biggest worry. I was never really an office guy and going to full-time offices. But yeah, some days you're like, it's 3 o'clock. I haven't even eaten lunch yet. So.
And that's great, I think, because you're always, you kind of know this. You're always, chasing different things. It seems like things pop up all the time. You have your calendar and you're like, oh, I've got all this time to get caught up on things, and then something happens, right?
Takes about an afternoon for it to fill up.
So I know they haven't probably announced it quite yet, but I know we kind of passed the $1 billion mark for this year in 2025, correct?
Yes, that mark was passed, the first week of November, so.
And we're a little bit, I know they presented some financial stuff to the city council, and it looks like we're a little ahead of last year, correct, for the overall?
Yeah, we're right there. Numbers are more than last year, but it's right there, very comparable. I wouldn't say it's, 300,000-400,000 higher than last year at this time, so.
But I think
we're
that's
still strong and steady.
Yeah, and I think that's the good transition. We always talk about 2022, but that's kind of just a huge outlier with how much we did the 1.93 billion or whatever in that.
Yeah, that one won't be touched for a while, I don't think so.
But I think the best streak and I think it's been like this for probably as long as I've been here, so 16 years. Every year it's increased, and it hasn't. 2022 was just crazy, and then 2023 it decreased. But what we were in 2023 and now what we are this year is kind of that steady increase that we're looking for, correct?
Yeah, I think it shows that, even though we won't see that huge number again, it shows that it really wasn't a fluke. That Sioux Falls is strong, Sioux Falls is growing, and it's a place people want to move. They want to bring their businesses and they want to invest. So.
Yeah, and I think that's another great thing that I noticed with the numbers is you know the cycle with apartments. We build a ton of apartments, and then the occupancy rate drops, and then those drop off, and we do less units until that occupancy rate goes up, and then we build more. But one of the great things I think that's for this year is a good sign from last year is the increase in single family. I think we've done about 20 to 25% more single family houses this year.
Yeah, the single family are up, and with my many years in construction, you used to see that cycle.
Yeah.
Commercial up, residential down, residential up, commercial down. Well, we were so many years where it was all up.
Yeah.
And now we're getting back into that normal cycle where we're going to start seeing that where commercial will be up a year and residential down, and then residential will be up and commercial. So I think we're getting back in that normal cycle. So.
Which I think is what's great with Sioux Falls is we're predictable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we typically grow 2.5% to 3% every year. We can kind of plan to know what we need for residential stock, commercial, office, and all that different stuff for that increased population, which is a lot better than growing like 50% one year and zero, back and forth. So, one of the things I know in the last couple of years has been a little bit of a struggle is some of the open, like single family residential permits that have taken a long time to close, and most of that was based on like getting HVAC equipment, or there was lags in getting stuff or finding workers. Do you see that kind of leveling out now where they're building houses as fast as they can and then getting them closed out, kind of a deal?
There's still a few items that are on the COVID delay, like they say. It's mostly electrical parts. There's just a few items, but it's pretty much disappeared now, and everybody's going like crazy again. So.
Which is great. So a couple things. So like I said, I think we're going to probably either get to or exceed last year's building permit valuations. What do you think next year holds? I know I've heard quite a few big projects that I think are coming down the pipeline. They just broke ground on CJ Foods and that large project that'll be out there. Do you think we'll continue to grow even in 2025?
Yeah, I don't. You're starting out the year with the new Avera project going on at both Avera on Louise and Avera at the main hospital there. They're doing that big addition, and with CJ Foods. And these are projects that are wanting to get started this winter. I mean, they're wanting to dig and do foundations in wintertime. So that's telling you there's a push. There's a push to get these done, to get them occupied, because they're limited on space. They need to grow, they need to move. So I think that's all good indicators that if they're willing to start construction in the winter like that, the need is there. I still think it's going to be a strong year. So.
And I do too. And they got maybe a little spoiled for last year. You could construct pretty much all winter long last year.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy.
Spoiled.
Yeah. So they haven't, they're still trying to think we're going to have an easy winter, and maybe we will, but we'll see how that goes. So those projects that you talked about, Avera, so they've just pulled their footing and foundation permits, correct? Or have they actually pulled?
They're in for review, so they haven't been issued yet. CJ Foods we haven't seen come in yet, but from the timeline that they've verbally told us is it's February, March is when they want to start doing foundations. So. And
then those are kind of the three different types of permits you can do for some projects, right? You can do the footing and foundation, and then you guys do like a shell, correct?
Yeah.
And then interior finish. And that allows some of these projects that maybe want to get going a little faster to get those footing and foundations in before the winter, and then gives them time to work on the plans for the actual shell and the interior finish.
Yeah, them large buildings that, like you said, exactly. They can get going on the foundation while they're still tweaking office layout. It's not going to affect the overall size of the building or the exterior footprint of the building, but that way they can get started and get working while that stuff is just getting hammered out at the end there. So. Yeah,
and I think that's great that your department allows them to do that and to be able to get moving on some of that stuff and continue to construct and not have to sit here for months and months and months waiting for plan reviews and things like that. So
we try to be the nice guy.
Well, I know I always hear, and you guys probably hear that too a lot from especially outside the city contractors that are like, you guys are super easy to work with, and I can hear your floor plans examiners, and then especially since we've hired that residential plans examiner, that's been a huge help with the single family permits, not only from a building side, but actually from the zoning side that I head up too, is saving our zoning people, 450 permits to look at, and Sydney's able to do all of them.
Yeah, I think we've really become efficient as an office.
Yeah.
I just took a phone call from our contractor the other day. They're going to be doing a remodel at the mall coming up here in the spring for one of their stores, and they were just surprised that they only need to submit one plan to us in one department. It goes everywhere. Other cities, they're submitting multiple plans to different divisions, and one division might be 2 weeks, one might be 4 weeks. So they were just amazed that that's how we operate here.
Yeah, it's nice that you guys are kind of the gatekeepers, and then you send it out and you can kind of keep track of who still needs to comment or what the comments are, and have kind of one point of contact instead of, like you said, like 10 points of contact, right?
Yes.
One of the things real quick that we can talk about, I think is going to be a great addition, is actually bringing a fire plans examiner. Is actually going to come over and sit in our building instead of being over in City Hall, which I think will really help you guys with efficiency and meetings, and not having to walk down from City Hall if they need to have a meeting with the other plans examiners and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's going to be a great addition, and that's something Butch was working on for a lot of years for, building and then fire prevention and inspections to collaborate and work more together.
Yeah.
We both work off of international building codes. Ours is a building code, theirs is the fire code. We're looking at projects at the same time during construction, but we were so separated. We didn't even know the names of the individual inspectors and who to contact. So now that we're getting more collaboration and going to work as a whole, that's just even going to make the city even more efficient.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things that the city has done over the last, 5 or 6 years is really that, as the mayor calls it, one team, right? That we're all ready to collaborate, and if a position's better in your department than that department, let's do it, and not just hold on to those, make it better for everybody. So I think that's a great, mentality that we have now.
Bursts our bubbles a little bit. Sometimes it needs to happen.
Absolutely.
We get stuck in a rut.
So I'm going to let you go with this question. What's one thing that surprised you with your new job over the 6 weeks? One thing that you weren't expecting?
I don't really understand why they give me an office. It should just be in one of the meeting rooms, because I spend more time there than I do in my actual office. So I knew there was going to be a lot more meetings and stuff like that, but I am surprised with how slow it is this year and how many meetings I'm actually going to every day, all day long. So that was a big surprise to me.
Well, that's good. You need that office, though, because you're going to have to start dealing with personnel stuff, right?
Yep. So.
Well, thanks so much for having us or coming on the show here, Neil. I'll probably, like I said, love to have you guys on at the beginning of 2025 to talk about 2024 and the big projects and what our actual end valuation is. But I appreciate you coming on to kind of talk about yourself a little bit and give kind of the people watching the new chief building official a little introduction.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Anytime. Thanks for joining us for planning preview for the month of December. The planning commission meeting for this month is on Wednesday, December 4th at 6 p.m. at the Carnegie Town Hall. And as always, we allow public comment for any of the items we talked about tonight. And also there is that 5-minute comment period at the end of the agenda to talk about anything planning related. Thanks, Sioux Falls, and have a great day.